My name is Vignesh Ramdas, and I'm this year's chairman of the VIP Distinguished Speaker Series. This program is one of many held by the Undergraduate Business Council. Today we are joined by Dean of Homeschool Business, Jay Hartzell, and Chief Marketing Officer of Microsoft, Chris Capossela. We'll begin tonight with a talk from Chris about creating fans, followed by a conversation with Dean Hartzell and Chris, and then finally we'll have an opportunity for open floor Q&A. As a reminder, this event will end promptly at 6:30 p.m., so if you could refrain from leaving early or using electronic devices, we would greatly appreciate it. Now I'm going to hand it off to Rachel Downs, who represents our co-hosting organization, Texas AMA, to introduce our guest speaker today.
Pull those down some a little shorter. So hi, my name is Rachel Downs, and I'm this year's president of Texas AMA. We are so excited to be co-hosting this event tonight with Mr. Capossela. So a little bit of background. As a technology enthusiast from the start, Chris's passion for computing began when, as a boy, he wrote a reservation system for his family's small Italian restaurant in Boston on an early IBM PC. After earning his bachelor's degree in computer science and economics at Harvard University, Mr. Capossela began working at Microsoft, where he has held a variety of marketing leadership roles in his 25 years there. He served in the Microsoft Office division and was responsible for marketing the company's productivity solutions, including Microsoft Office, Office 365, SharePoint, Exchange, Lync, Project, and Visio. More recently, he served as the worldwide leader of the Consumer Channels Group, responsible for sales and marketing activities with OEM, operator, and retail partners. During this time, he oversaw the creation of new business opportunities with partners to deliver new consumer experiences through Windows, Windows Phone, Office, and Xbox. So today, as Chief Marketing Officer, Chris Capossela leads Microsoft's worldwide marketing and consumer business. This includes advertising, brand, communications, research, as well as their retail stores. So now that you've heard a little bit about our guest speaker, let's get started. So without further ado, please help me welcome Mr. Capossela.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming out and spending a little bit of time with me. It's a real pleasure for me to be here, particularly today on all the other things you could be doing, given what a historic day this may turn out to be. So I appreciate your hospitality and having me here. It is fascinating to hear somebody say, please don't use electronic devices. You know, coming from a high-tech company, that's like, you can't say that. Like, don't say that. Of course I want you to use electronic devices. It's kind of funny, the expectations that people have in different environments. You know, I have been at Microsoft forever, which is kind of incredible. I grew up in Boston, Massachusetts, and I've been, you know, through the rigor at this company, the sort of really good times of the company and some of the really rocky times. And now over the last 2.5 years, we've had just an amazing kind of transformation, starting really with a new CEO that I think has set a new culture for the company and set a new kind of North Star for who we want to be when we grow up. And I thought for 20 minutes or so I would share the examples that I brought of some of the things that we're trying to do differently as a company that I think have had some success, and I'll share some sort of failures along the way too. But one of the notions that we're trying to do as a company is just to focus on our customers more. And I know that must sound just so incredibly obvious, but you'd be surprised at how easy it is to focus on your own stuff and your own products that you want to build. And you know, Steve Jobs is very famous for saying, you know, consumers don't actually know what they want until you show it to them. And that sort of attitude of, you know, we'll build something amazing that customers don't actually ever say they want, and then we'll show them that they want it. That's very, very systemic in high tech. And for Microsoft, one of the things that we've realized is, you know, focusing on customers is just a very big notion. And we've started to get a little bit more surgical about how we do that. And we've sort of said, hey, forget the 1.5 billion people who use Windows or the 1.2 billion people who use Office. Let's focus on this subset of people who really love our stuff. Let's focus on our fans. And a lot of people at Microsoft, I have to convince them we actually have fans, believe it or not. They don't believe that Word has any fans or that Excel has any fans. There's a huge Excel fan right here at this school, which is one of the reasons I'm at this school today, Professor Tuttle. And this is a little bit of the journey that we've gone on to sort of say, no, we have real fans, and they're the customers we should focus on. And so this notion of focusing on our fans is what I wanted to share. I love this quote from Elvis Presley. He just boils down the notion of why do you care about fans versus your casual customers more. And it's this beautiful quote. Hey, if you take care of the fans, they will sure as hell take care of you. And just that notion that fans will advocate on your behalf is very, very powerful. And we've seen when we've posted, an advertisement that talks about Surface and talks about why people like Surface and versus their Mac, we see the Apple fans just come out in droves and hammer that video on YouTube. We allow comments in our videos. Apple has chosen never to allow comments on their videos, so you just get the video. When we have our comments open, you just see these fans come out and hammer us and tell us how much we're lying and how much we suck and how great Apple is. And it is this exact thing. It is the Apple fans taking care of Apple. Whether they're right or wrong doesn't really matter. You just literally see it in the passion that they have for their brand, which is kind of amazing. So I kind of love this quote. We went to school, essentially, in two industries. One is entertainment, because these folks understand the power of the fan. And the other is sports, because those teams, those organizations understand the power of the fan. And both of those industries have taught us a lot about how to think about fans. So let me share, this is going to be quick, simple slides. I'm not going to give you a boring lecture. The first thing I have to say is, hey, what is a fan? How do we define what a fan is? I need to be able to count them. I need to be able to target them. I need to be able to understand them and talk to them and understand how they want us to talk back to them, etc. So we basically said, hey, a fan is someone who combines three things. Deep usage of any particular product, engagement. Number two, they have to advocate. They have to talk on our behalf. They have to tell their friends and family, I love product X. And number three, they actually have to love it. It has to be true that they love the product. I can find lots of people who use our stuff and love our stuff, but who are not willing to advocate. They're quiet. They don't use social media. They don't want to go out and talk. They're great customers, but for our purposes, they're not actually fans. I'm defining a fan as someone, deep user, deep lover of our product, and a deep advocate of our product. And we measure this, and we say, what does deep usage look like? The first thing, for Bing, deep usage is a lot different than it is for Skype or for Xbox. For Bing, we define deep usage as 100 queries a month. I know that if you do 100 queries a month on Bing, you're using Bing more than you're using Google. I also know 100 queries a month puts you in the upper echelon of Bing users. So that's how we define it. For Windows, we define it as daily active use, monthly active use, some notion around how often do you use Windows. And I can look at every one of our products and we define it a little bit differently. Skype deep usage is about video minutes. Xbox deep usage is about gaming minutes. So you get the general idea. Then we ask customers, hey, how likely are you to recommend Windows 10 to a friend or a family? We do that inside the product itself. And if you give me a top score, then I consider you an advocate. If you tell me Windows 10 is a product you love, then I consider you someone who loves the brand. If I can get someone who's all three of these things, boom, you're now a fan. And now I can understand, okay, great, how do I talk to you? How do I activate you? How is it that you want us to engage with you? And that's kind of the journey that we've kind of gone on. The economic power of the fan is staggering, staggering. This looks at Windows fans. And internally at Microsoft, we had a lot of people who didn't believe we had fans of Windows because it's an operating system. You know, it's not Xbox, it's not Skype, it's not Surface, it's an OS. But the reality is, of course, we have people who love Windows and who use it and who recommend it. And look at this data here. This is Windows 10 fans versus Windows 10 casual users. Windows 10 fans do 52% more Bing queries than Windows 10 casual users. Every query on Google or on Bing is a monetizable event. Right? The companies are making money when you search in their search engine. So someone who does 52% more of them is a lot of money to the corporation. And of course that means they're lighter weight Google searchers because they're heavier weight Bing searchers. So it's good on many dimensions. Xbox minutes. A lot of people internally say, oh, Windows people are very different than Xbox people. Baloney. It's nonsense. Look at this. Windows 10 fans, 113% more Xbox minutes than Windows 10 casual users. And the most important, of course, the lifetime revenue. 75% higher lifetime revenue of Windows 10 fan. So the economic power of your fans, of our fans, is very easy to prove out. And I could do this for any product at Microsoft. Xbox will look really similar, you name it. So that's kind of cool. The next obvious question we asked is, okay, we know how to measure them. We know there's real economic power. What is it that earns fans and what is it that loses fans? What are the things that we do as a company that help us get more, and what are the things we do as a company that make us lose fans? We thought these would be two totally separate lists. It turns out these are exactly the same list. If we do really well across these 4 dimensions, each of these 4 dimensions earns us fans. Surprises was a big surprise to me, the power that it has in earning fans. This notion of doing right, I'll give you a flavor of what this is. This was a big surprise to us. Product quality and Microsoft Connection, those are relatively obvious. When we do these 4 things really well, we gain fans. When we do these 4 things, even mediocre, not even terrible, just mediocre, we lose fans. And that's been kind of a fascinating eye-opener for us. So with this notion, we really can galvanize all our work around each of these 4 pillars. We have to have super high quality products. We have to connect with people in an authentic way. We have to surprise people. We have to do the right thing as a company. And if we do that, we're going to earn a lot more fans than if we don't do that. One of the fun things about this, a little bit like what you guys get to do, we get to go out and study other companies. Who's doing any one of these things super, super well? And what are the lessons we can learn from them? And that's really fun. You typically don't think of necessarily being able to do that in your job. At Microsoft, we're really trying to do a lot of this. Who can we learn from outside of our own halls, even outside of high tech? Because high tech is a little bit of a bubble. Everyone watches each other, but they're not really that open to other industries. And so for us, it's been fun to go on this journey. And if I were to say to you, hey, outside of high tech, who do you think has some of the highest quality products on the planet? Like, what brand comes to mind when you think of high quality? We've done a lot of research here, and believe it or not, tech never comes to mind, because we know how flawed all tech products typically are. Shockingly, for some of you, this company, this is it, Lego. This is Lego Corporation. If you don't recognize these things, I think you all do recognize these things. You'd sort of say, hey, how hard is it to do a high quality plastic block? It's hard. It's actually much, much harder than you think it is. How do I know these are high quality? Go look on eBay. They sell used for as much as they sell new. A used Star Wars Lego set is as expensive on eBay as it is brand new on Amazon.com. The other thing you see is parents will hand down their Lego sets to their kids. They literally hand them down generation after generation. These are hallmarks of a very high quality product. And that's something we can aspire to. That's something anybody in the high-tech industry can aspire to, that type of longevity. What high-tech product sells as much on eBay, 10 years old, as it sells on Amazon? 0 is the answer, of course. That rate of change, fine, blah, blah, blah. This is what high-quality product looks like. And we aspire to build really high-quality products. The fun thing as a marketer is when the company builds high-quality products, oh my gosh, is your job so easy, or so much easier than when the products are mediocre. You can let the products stand all by themselves. You can showcase the work that people do on the products. We recently launched a brand new product that nobody really knew we were bringing to the world. And it was really fun to work on as a marketer. And we thought about a lot of the different ways to try to tell the story. And we actually launched the product not by having someone on stage talk about it first. We had someone on stage literally just introduce a video. And through the video, we launched the product. And I'm going to play that video for you. And I think you'll get to see how do we try to romance the product quality of this product. And while you're watching the video, you should know a couple of things. The people in the video were all designers on the product itself. And then everything you see on the screen of this device was built by customers that we involved in the design of the product a good year before we brought the product out. And nobody knows these things, but we know them. We know they're authentic. It's authentic work that was created on this product, and we showcase the people who built it, not actors, not models, et cetera, et cetera. So let's take a quick look at this piece of work for Surface Studio.
Come with me and you'll be nothing to add. There is no life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there, you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
Anyone recognize that song? Willy Wonka, anyone seen that movie? I think before your time. Obviously, we went for pure imagination, and we love the notion of creativity in the song. We couldn't get the rights to the song. Gene Wilder sang that song, and there's just no way for us to get the rights. So literally, a spouse of a person who was working on that video, said, I'll sing it. I'll just do it. And she literally did that. That's her voice. She just did her own version of it. Once you cover a song, it's a totally different licensing situation, and we completely loved it, and so we kind of went with it. But it's a nice example, I think, of once you have a high-quality product, you can let the product tell the story, and obviously that we'll see how we do in market. But that's the first one. Microsoft Connection. Boy, this is the one that's been hardest for us as a company because we have a long history of not having a direct connection with our customers. If you buy Windows, you'll often buy it from a Dell PC. You don't buy it from Microsoft, you buy a Dell PC and it comes with Windows and you have no relationship to the company. We've completely changed that over the past 5 years, and we've learned we have to have a deeper relationship with our customers, which is kind of a big deal. We've studied a lot of people who are good at connecting with their customers, and this is a long list. I can tell you as a marketer, for me, one of the very best brands who knows how to connect with her fans is this brand. The work that her marketing team and she does, relatively authentically, I would argue, in concerts, outside of concerts, to launch a new album, all kinds of crazy things that she does to connect with her fans is very, very inspiring for us. And we've taken a lot of pages out of her playbook for how she does things to how we do things. We bring fans to our big launch events now. They're not just press events. Half the room is for press and half the room is for fans. And so when someone walks out on stage and shows that video, people go crazy. The press is not going crazy. They're live blogging, they're tweeting, they're doing their job. They have no time to make any noise other than just capture the facts of what we are saying. And so the fans make a huge difference. We've done a lot of things digitally too. This past December 2015, we sent out 20 million emails to our top 20 million Xbox fans. And each email had 59 data points in the email. And that means we crunched about 3.6 billion data points of telemetry that we get from people who use Xbox. And you woke up one morning and you got an email from the Xbox team. It was late December. And it said, hey, here's your 2015 year in review as an Xbox player. And you'll notice it says, hey, you've been with Xbox since 2001, your most active day was on Halloween, your most played game was Rise of the Tomb Raider, your gaming hours placed you in the top 25% of gamers worldwide. On your most active day, you spent 20 hours of gaming, Xbox Live. 20 hours of gaming. You get the idea. Your gamer score has gone up since 32,000 points since January. Sorry, 320,000 points since January. So 20 million people got this email, this direct email from the Xbox team, and you can imagine how much they love this. I mean, this was custom to them. It was all about their year. We didn't tell anybody. We just sent the email directly to you. But obviously everybody took photos of this stuff, cropped it, put it on their desktop, started tweeting it, and it just blew up on us, and it became a huge social phenomenon. Dear God, my gamer score went up 24,000 points since January. Also over 3,000 hours gaming. All caps, I regret nothing. This is so beautiful, right? This is us speaking to a fan, and then this fan advocating on our behalf, essentially. This is the type of direct connection that we're starting to do in a way that we think really matters, which is kind of cool. And they're only top 25%. You know, when you get down to the top 5%, it is scary how much time is spent. I mean, I don't know what else they are doing in their life. It's kind of crazy. Customer surprises, number 3. Lots of amazing stories here. I think Disney's one of the very best brands on the planet for surprising customers. Does anybody know what these things are? Anyone know what this is? Okay, some people know. It's a magic band. They spent over $1 billion in IT building these things. It took them 18 months to get the first one to be park ready. It took another year to make them available. So 2.5 years, billions of dollars. And if you haven't used one of these, it really feels like, you know, the wearable of the future in the rest of the world. When you go to a Disney park, you know, these show up at your house, you order them, you customize them, and then you get that beautiful unboxing experience with the family. You open the box and there are all the magic bands. You wear it, you go to the hotel, it's how you check into the hotel. It's how you unlock your door in your hotel room. You don't have a key, you just wear the magic band. And you swipe it, and the door of your hotel room unlocks, and in you go. You show up in a restaurant, you swipe it, they know that you have celiac disease and you can't eat gluten. They know which kid's allergic to peanuts, and so they already know when you show up what you can and cannot eat. It's your fast pass to get in front of the line. I mean, the number of surprises that they've baked into this thing is staggering. And they tell us they've just gotten started. They told us they haven't yet gotten to the personal level that they want. It's a really, really wonderful example. For us, you know, we have about 100 retail stores around the US. We just opened one up in Sydney, Australia, right across from the Apple flagship store in Sydney. And on opening day, an Apple fan was walking to the Apple store, saw our store, walked in, spent a couple of hours there, and then sent us this email. Never in a million years would I have expected a retail store to go so far beyond expectations. At no time did he badmouth Apple. I definitely feel like Microsoft has found a new place in the world, and it's amazing to see such passionate people driving it. So surprises can come in the form of a product. It can come in the form of a piece of marketing. It can come in the form of a customer service person, a frontline salesperson, just shocking someone at how they behave. And these are all the things that we think add up to a really good thing. Now, we do bad surprises all the time. And the bad surprises are super, super painful. The funny thing about bad surprises is that we've learned that having a bad surprise, like email not working, or you name it, it isn't so much the bad surprise, it's how the company handles the bad surprise. And if we can handle the bad surprise well, you actually earn a lot of fans. It's not that something bad happened, it's how you handle it that matters the most. And that's been an interesting lesson for us to learn. So that's two simple examples on customer surprises. The last one really was interesting for us to learn. What do I mean by doing right? I mean two things. One, I mean operating as a company with honesty and integrity and transparency. That really resonates with at least our customer base. And then number two, when something happens in the world that might be interesting to your company in some way, how do you respond? How do you show up? Do you respond in a way that speaks to your customers and has them say, that's a company that gets me. Yes, they did the right thing. I love that. Anyone know who REI is? Small retailer in Seattle, Washington. This past year, they decided that Black Friday, which is when retailers go from red to black, they lose money until Black Friday and then they start making money. They just decided it was too much. Too much on their employees, just work 24 hours, it's gross, they hate it. So they launched a campaign called Opt Outside. They closed all their stores on Black Friday. When everybody else is opening at midnight, Walmart's opening 24 hours, they said, nope, not for us. I want all of our employees to go outside. I want them to kayak, I want them to hike, I want them to climb mountains, I want them to do these things. We're just closing because it's not who we are. And needless to say, their fans, they said, yes, that's exactly right. This is why I care about REI. I think many of you remember the really horrific terrorist attack on a gay nightclub in Orlando just a few months ago. Well, JetBlue has a huge base in Orlando. And about 4 hours after that attack, they decided to make all JetBlue flights to and from Orlando for anyone impacted free. And they came up with an ad that looked like this, that had the hashtag, "We Stand With Orlando." This is the type of thing that people say, yes. If you believe in JetBlue, if you believe in that company, this resonates with their fans. They say, this is why I like this company. Something bad happened, they did the right thing. They are now, I'm a bigger fan of JetBlue because of this. Note that this is different than founding your company and saying, hey, 2% of my profits will go to nonprofits every year. That's a wonderful thing too. The Tom's Shoe Store. It's wonderful. That's different than this. This is responding to something that's happened and doing something above and beyond your normal course of business. And we found this pays off in a big way. At Microsoft, for us, there's a lot of examples. When there's some horrible terrorist attack or some natural disaster, it takes us 2 hours to make Skype phone calls free to everybody in the country where that happened. So the Paris terrorist attacks, we made all Skype phone calls to landlines free for everybody in France for about 3 weeks. When the Japanese massive tsunami happened, again, 2 hours, it was free. That kind of quick turn is a nice example of doing the right thing. We also have found, though, that initiatives we care about, and one of the big ones is women in tech. We don't have enough women inside of Microsoft who have tech jobs. We want UT to create more women who are graduating with tech degrees or coming to Microsoft. When we care about that, it's great for us to do all the things we do, but it's also very effective and important to tell the world that we care about it. So to celebrate International Women's Day this past year, we sent a camera crew to New York City to talk to a bunch of middle school girls in public schools in New York City. And we asked them a bunch of questions, and we put together this 2-minute video that since then has gone completely crazy. Let's take a look at it.
My favorite subject in school is science, because you can invent all different kinds of cool things, and there's like no limit what you can do.
One inventor is Benjamin Franklin.
Leonardo da Vinci.
Thomas Edison.
Albert Einstein. Nikola Tesla. Alexander Bell Graham. No. That's kind of a tough one.
In school, it was always a male inventor. I just realized.
There's so much. I didn't even know they even know that stuff.
You're surprised because they only talk about Einstein and Benjamin, but you never hear a girl in a conversation.
To know that there were women before me,
It gives me like motivation that I can invent something and make maybe like a change in the world, and that would be really cool.
So great response to that. We had an amazing amount of people who sort of shared that. Ellen kind of went crazy for that and did a lot with it as well. Our legal team picked this up and said, hey, there's a lot more that we can do with this than just a spot, just a video. And we ran a contest where we invited girls to essentially contribute their ideas, send us their ideas for inventions. And we took the 4 best ideas, and now our legal team is shepherding those 4 ideas through the patent application process with the US Patent Office to literally get them patents for their ideas so they have those protected. So these little things can make a huge, huge difference. And we found that this notion of earning fans, it's a combination of those 4 things. So that's a little bit of what I wanted to share with you. Now I think we're going to turn things over and we're going to do a little bit of a fireside chat and then some live Q&A from all of you. So with that, turn it over back to you.
Thank you so much, Chris. And now, like he said, we're going to go ahead and turn into our fireside chat with Dean Hartzell.
Great. Thanks, Vig, and thanks, Chris.
My pleasure.
That was great. I'm glad I don't have to teach after that. That was way cooler than my teaching.
The videos.
Yeah, I should have more videos in my lectures. I want to make sure we leave time for the students for their questions, but let me just ask you a little bit about your journey. And I think of marketing a lot. I think about product placement and your strategy and how you differentiate yourself from competitors. What do you think over time has differentiated you? So when you look back and where you've come from, what has made your path what it is and made you different to get here today?
I think a few things have helped. One, I think, is it's a hard question. One, I think, is this notion of taking a broad perspective of the company that I've been part of. My parents kind of forced us to all do all the jobs at the restaurant, so we got this great 360-degree view. And at Microsoft, I've taken a very non-traditional career path, and then I've done a lot of kind of lateral moves, and I've moved from marketing to engineering to sales, back to marketing, and I've worked on things that were company-wide, as opposed to just working on Windows, or just working on Xbox. And that has given me, I think, a broader perspective. And that, I think, is something that leaders are often looking for. Somebody who isn't just a thoroughbred in one area, but has actually shown capacity to do a bunch of different things. Those would be some. But you don't see, when you hear the fancy title, you don't see all the jobs I didn't get. You don't see the things I failed at. It all sounds very polished. But the reality is, I've interviewed for lots and lots of jobs where I didn't get them, and someone else at the company got the job. And so it's not like I just, did 25 years of kicking butt, and like I had lots of down cycles. And I think it always looks a little fancier and a little more pristine than, of course, it is.
It was, yeah. And as you went through that journey, talking about some lateral moves and some jobs didn't work out, did you have a master plan, or were you thinking, I need this skill, or this just looks interesting?
Yeah.
How did you think about it in those moments when you faced those decisions?
Yeah, I'm a disaster when it comes to like long-term planning. I've never had a 5-year plan. I've never had a 10-year plan. I've always just done the job that was right in front of me. And when a new opportunity popped up, or I was bored of doing the job I was doing, I always went for the job that I thought would be the most fun. I always went for the job that I had the most passion for. And at some point in your careers, you'll get a job opportunity. You'll ask people, you'll ask your friends in your network, hey, what do you think of this job? And you'll get completely opposite answers from people you love who are all smart. And some people say it's a great job, you should do it, and other people say it's a terrible job, you shouldn't. And at the end of the day, you're gonna have to make the tough call. And I would always go for the job that's interesting. I would always go for the job that you think you're gonna have a huge amount of excitement to get up every morning and drag yourself into work and get after. You don't want that. You want to get up every morning. You want to be psyched to come to work. I can't wait to get past my commute to get to work and start working on the thing I get to work on. Never take a job that you think is going to lead to something. It's not. Like, let me make it super clear. Like, no hiring manager says, oh, you did the right 4 jobs before this one. I'm going to put you in the job. None. 0. They're going to want to talk to you. They're going to want to grill you. They're going to ask you tough questions. They don't really care that much about the other jobs. A little bit. But don't think you can build this perfect resume that gets you the big job. So since that's true, go for the job you want. Like, go for the thing you're psyched to do every single day. Otherwise, you're taking medicine every day. You're not going to do your best work when you do something you don't love. And then you're not going to get the job opportunity because you're not doing your best work. And so I think I'd encourage you to think about it that way. It's great to have a plan. Just be willing to chuck it and to write a new one. Write a new one. Write the new 10-year plan because you're psyched about the weird job that just came up.
And I would imagine high tech's a little like academics, where you're a technical expert who somehow ends up managing people.
Yeah.
So could you talk a little about, as you've developed, how do you think about the role of leadership or management, and how do you approach that, having come from maybe a path where you didn't set out to say, I want to be a great manager or leader?
Yeah, so for sure, I think one of the, particularly for the marketers in the room, one of the things that somehow is sick about all marketing people's DNA is like this passion to manage people. Like, it's like they're on a rush to manage people. I interview people, they're like, how long before I can manage someone? And I'm like, never at this company, you're out. Like, come on, that's such an easy mistake to make. Like, managing people, you should think about it as, when you get to manage someone, you just had a baby. Like, you just gave birth to a new human being, and your life will never, ever be the same. And so if you want to have a baby, maybe it's time to manage people. It's sort of my litmus test. Because honestly, like, what you think is, oh, no, I want to keep being an individual contributor. I got to keep making these awesome videos. But oh yeah, I'll have some people. And I'll be like, yeah, those people, and I'll do one-on-ones with them sometimes. And then I'll do their review and give them some money. Videos are gone. You get to make nothing. You do nothing. You make nothing. All you make is people better. Like, your job is now to make the people on your team awesome. And that's it. Your days of contributing to anything as an individual contributor are over. And so you cannot be in a rush to manage people because you'll be terrible at it. And that is the lesson I've learned. I didn't manage anyone at Microsoft for the first 10 years I was at the company. And then I went from managing nobody to managing a team of 90. And it was brutal. It was so hard that I'm glad I didn't try to do it early in my career. So I think you have to really want it, and you have to change your life to now your focus is on your people, and it's not on your individual accomplishments anymore. Those days are gone.
Reminds me of people that say, I want to have kids and my lifestyle won't change.
Right. Good luck. Sleep days are over.
So let's open it up to the crowd. So I think we have Coca-Cola going to run around with microphones, right?
You can also just yell.
Yes, such a better room, so go ahead.
I had a quick question specifically about architecture. A big thing in the architecture school here, and I'm an architecture student, is how Microsoft and a lot of other technology companies are starting to breach into the profession. And so how is Microsoft marketing itself to the profession itself, architecture, and using platforms like HoloLens to facilitate the practice of architecture? And how does Microsoft start to end up becoming the leading company in the architecture profession itself?
Yeah, I mean, we're leading in many industries just because of the ubiquity of our tools, but I think you're asking more specifically around the tools that are custom built for a designer or a creator or an architect. And there, we'll never do super verticalized tools like a Photoshop or an AutoCAD or anything of that nature. We're just too much of a horizontal company to go after, something that vertical. We want our partners to do that, like Adobe, on top of our platform. But obviously, some of the hardware we're doing, we're starting to really try to cater to the designers of the world, the creators of the world, in part because hardware is a very, very hard business to do well in. These devices are expensive, so doing cheap devices is really hard to make any money. So the people who use professional tools to make their living are willing to spend money on a professional tool. So there's a real business opportunity there. We've learned that we want to go into a new space that doesn't think of us. You have to start really, really small. You have to talk to 10 thought-leading designers, 10 thought-leading media companies, people inside of media companies who actually do this storytelling. You pick 2 architects, you pick 3 ad people, advertising people use this type of device. And you curate a team of 40, and you love those people. And you spend a lot of time with those people, and you fly them out to Redmond, Washington, and they get to see the product a year before the product's done. And they get to use the product for a week, and they get to tell you all about the product. And then by the time you launch the product, you have 50 people who are ready to say, I helped design this product, I know every decision that went into this product, here's what I love about this product, here's what I don't love about this product. And those 50 fans start talking. And you don't take out ads in Architectural Digest, you don't go to the big architecture show and put your CEO on stage. You have no authenticity to do those things, you have no believability. You start small, you let those people start talking, you let other architects buy your device, you let them start talking, you watch, you listen, you curate, and you got to start incredibly small and build slowly. That's going to take 5 years. That's not a 1 year. That's not a 1 year proposition. So you have to be really patient, is what I would say.
Hi. So you said talk about jobs and how you recommend to go for the job that you want, not the one that you think is going to get you somewhere else. But and you're also saying that whole idea of jobs getting you somewhere else is not something to follow. But then what if I want to be CMO of Microsoft?
Yeah.
I can't just get there in one day, right? That's not the job I can apply to. I have to start somewhere.
Yes. So how do I rectify those two total paradoxes?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Let me try to spell it out for you. I think if I were to say, hey, what are the 10 jobs you think you should get to become the CMO? You'd probably architect a career that had a whole bunch of interesting marketing jobs. You wouldn't say, go be the staff person to the president of Microsoft EMEA, live in Paris, when you're 10 years in the company, have nobody work for you, do no marketing, but get to travel through Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Get to go to Kenya, get to go to Israel, get to go to Turkey, get to see what Microsoft Turkey looks like. Like, none of those things would you say, these are the things you need to become the CMO of Microsoft. And if I were to interview my boss, and I were to say to my boss, hey, do you want my successor to have spent time traveling to Microsoft Turkey, Microsoft Israel, being a little staff doobie? He'd say, I don't know, it doesn't sound very good. That's what I did, you know what I mean? And somehow it worked. So what I mean by that is, I don't mean be blind to the job you take. I mean, don't think that you at any stage can map out 10 years of job choices, knowing that those are the 10 right years that then puts you in the best position to be the CMO. I followed my interesting, wacky jobs. I worked for Bill Gates as his speech assistant, when everybody told me not to do that job, because it's a weird job. What are you gonna do after that job? That's what everyone said. You know, you're gonna live in some cubby in his office. He's gonna have a little knock on the door, you're gonna come scurrying out, you're gonna fix some PowerPoint slides, you're gonna go scurry back in your little hole. That's your job. And it's like, wow, that doesn't sound so good. You know what I mean? And like, part of them were right. Like, that was a little bit of the job. Like, I did have to make sure all the grunt work was done. I checked him in and out of hotels. I picked up his sweater that he always forgot. I, like, you know, got him the fast food. And yeah, I did all the grunt work. I woke him up in the morning. But I also, like, did the messaging for the most important guy in our industry for many years. I, like, helped him craft his message. Did that make me a better CMO? You bet your ass. Like, of course it did. But no one said, take that job and you'll become the CMO. They said, take that job and no one's gonna hire you in 2 years. Like, literally, what the hell are you qualified to do other than PowerPoint slides? So that, I'm being hyperbolic. Actually, I'm not being hyperbolic on the advice. I'm being hyperbolic on this notion of, hey, don't worry about it. But I think people are so wound tight about, like, am I gonna make the wrong choice? I had a couple of choices when I had the Bill Gates job choice. If I had taken one of those other jobs, would I have been an abject failure? Would I have gotten the CMO job anyway? I don't think I would have been an abject failure. I might have gotten the CMO job anyway, and that's what I mean. There's no known path in high tech. Now, maybe in banking or consulting, you know, maybe there are other industries we would say, no, there's a very well understood path. That's just not how Google works. It's not how Apple works. It's not how Microsoft works. And I think, frankly, most companies work more like the ones I'm talking about than, you know, the Bains of the world or the McKinseys of the world. But take it as a data point of one, and, you know, go do your own research. Don't be afraid to do the thing you have passion for. That's really the core message. Who else? Where are mic people? Who has microphones? Carefully picking these next people. Please go ahead.
As a big football fan, can you tell us a little bit more about Microsoft's marketing deal with the NFL?
That's such a polite way to ask that question. Thank you so much. Usually I get the question of, you spent $400 million to have Bill Belichick just hate your stuff? How's that working out for you? That's the question I usually get.
And you're from Boston.
Totally. It hurts on so many dimensions. It hurts on so many dimensions. Let me just say a couple of quick things. One, I totally love the fact that we have gotten our product to dramatically change the way players and coaches work on the sidelines in the sport that has somehow captured the imagination of hundreds of millions of people in this country at a level that no other sport can even come close. If I look at the top rated TV shows on TV, the top 10 are individual football games put on by the National Football League. I don't understand it. There's so many issues with the sport. There's so many issues with the players in the sport. I mean, there are issues everywhere in this sport. And yet, for some reason, it's a great sport. People love it. They love the professional sport. They watch it in droves. I love the fact that we took a paper-based system and translated it to a digital system, and we did it with Surface. And we have Drew Brees talking about how much he loves the Surface. And we have lots of coaches talking about how much they love the Surface. That's great. Do I like how much money I had to pay for it? Absolutely not. I hate it. And you know, the NFL wouldn't be surprised to hear that. They'd be glad to hear it. They'd love to hear it because they're monetizing their asset, which is their brand. We originally got into the deal for Xbox. We had a mission to make Xbox the entertainment console that everyone would watch their football games through and snap the Xbox app, and we'd get content and we'd do games. None of that came to fruition. The valuable thing we got turned out to be the NFL's sideline sponsorship for Surface. Now, it kills me that Al Michaels calls it an iPad. Kills me. Calls it an iPad every chance he gets. Oh yeah, there are those iPads. Except when the Wi-Fi doesn't work, and then he calls it a service. And like, I just like, I want to die. And the head of NBC calls me. I'm so sorry, Chris. This is a senior person, and he's groveling because he knows how bad this is. I get hate mail from everyone on the planet, mostly Microsoft employees. So, and then Bill Belichick very famously just recently said, "I've given up. I'm out. I won't do it anymore. These things suck. The tech never works. Our tech generally never works. It's just awful." And he's a troglodyte, and he'll say he's a troglodyte. He doesn't know how to program his alarm clock, blah, blah, blah. Doesn't matter. He's one of the most important, most interesting characters in the whole game, and he's given up. That's painful. So it's a super, super mixed bag. I love aspects of it. I hate aspects of it. It's a human-based system. You got all kinds of crazy people involved, you know what I mean? It makes my job really exhilarating and terrifying at the same time. And we'll see. I've got to measure it against other things that I could be spending that money on. But it is very powerful to be part of an important cultural moment. And in America, National Football League is an important cultural moment. You got to trade it off though and decide. Does that help? It's not like a clear yes or no, but those are some of the things that go into calculus for what we're doing. I don't know. Show of hands. How many people think it's good that we're on the sidelines of the NFL, just from a brand perspective? How many people think it's done more damage than good? It's okay. Believe me. Okay, more people would say yes than no. It's interesting. Interesting data point. Who has the mic? There's a mic over there.
Sorry to bring up the iPad again, but
go for it.
So I know that Microsoft positions the Surface Pro 4 as a more functional product versus the iPad Pro. But how would you explain the reasoning behind why iPad Pro has sold more than Surface?
How iPad Pro has sold more than Surface?
Yes.
Well, I think from our positioning perspective, we're really positioning the Surface as the tablet that can replace your laptop. So it's not we're trying to find a seam between the iPad, which is primarily an entertainment device, and between the Mac, which is more of a classic laptop. They're two different ecosystems, two different operating systems, two different app ecosystems. So we've sort of said, wow, two incredibly successful businesses, the Mac line and the iPad line. But a lot of people buy both. And we think there's an opportunity to say, hey, we think that's kind of nuts that you buy both of those devices. Can we create a new category that's not the tablet and it's not the laptop? Can we create a brand new category called the 2-in-1? And the 2-in-1 is two devices in one. The line is, it's the tablet that can replace your laptop. So that's what we're setting out to do. We think it's incredibly flattering that Apple has built the iPad Pro because they are copying blatantly what the Surface Pro 4 is. It's got a keyboard, it's got a stylus, it actually has a pencil, we have a pen. They have no eraser, we have an eraser. But I quibble, these are small, little, these are just details. Their ad for the iPad Pro was, we know from our research, 60% of people who saw that iPad Pro ad thought that was an advertisement for Surface. So we have established ourselves as the thought leader in this category, and now Apple is chasing us. Now, the volumes are low. The iPad Pro volumes are great. Why is that? They have an incredible following for their brands. They have an incredible following for the iPad. They sell it in very, very high proportions. So just shifting a little bit of their iPad base to the Pro gives them a lot of volume compared to us, where we're creating a brand new category from scratch. This is one of those things where you have to have patience. You have to not compare yourself to a huge, awesome competitor who does massive volume, and you have to say, no, what does success look like for Surface in year 1, in year 2, in year 3? And don't worry so much about, did you sell more units? Worry more about, are we growing? Do we have fans? Who loves the Surface Pro 4? Well, mobile professionals love it. They can bring one computer on the road with them. Awesome. Animators love it. People who literally draw animations, cartoonists, they love it. So let's nurture that, and let's hope someday we make it huge. And then we can celebrate the day that, we're really not going to celebrate the day we sell more than they sell. We're going to celebrate the day that we sell more than we sold last year. And that's every year. So great, let's go there. But they beat us in volume because they have a much, much bigger base with their tablet, and they have an incredible consumer brand. You've seen people just line up and buy whatever the hell they come out with. It's like, damn, congratulations, like hats off to them. That's amazing. But I'm not gonna covet that. I'm gonna pick my categories, try to build my best products, earn my fans, and go from there.
Professors like it. It's a good teaching device.
Professors like it? That's great, we'll take it.
I think we have time for one more. Sorry.
Here on the microphone. Yeah, so you just sounded as someone from Apple in 2004, kind of. So my question is the Surface product line supposed to make you, like, so Apple basically had this thing that they're creating a lifestyle, and they want to base themselves on like brand loyalty. Well, Microsoft is this mass market product. So is this Surface product line supposed to kind of make Microsoft more like targeted on particular people and make like basically Microsoft being a lifestyle?
Great, I think I got most of that question. Let me try to answer it and I'll check in and make sure. Surface for us does two things. One is it creates brand new categories that we don't think exist on the planet. So the 2-in-1, the tablet that can replace your laptop. We built this Surface Book, this beautiful big laptop that the screen comes off the keyboard. That's another form of a 2-in-1. The Studio is a desktop that looks a lot like an iMac, as I walk around and see a bunch of iMacs here, except you can walk up and push it with a finger and it lays down flat, and now it turns into a studio. So we're creating brand new computing categories that expand the addressable market for Windows in ways that nobody else is doing. Along the way, we're going to cultivate fans who love doing things on that device they can't do on any other device on the planet. The second thing Surface does for us, so it earns us fans, for sure. The second thing Surface does for us is it shows awesome companies, like the one down the street named Dell Technology, that there's a big new category that they should go build technology for. So I want Dell to go build a Surface tablet. I might not let them use the name Surface, but I'm going to create a brand new category, and then Dell's going to figure out a way to do massive volume that Microsoft will never know how to do. And they're going to do it with the Dell brand. They're probably going to do it cheaper than we do it, and they're going to take that small Surface volume that this gentleman was asking about, and they're going to make it big volume. And that's something Apple cannot do because they don't have OEM partners. So what Surface does is allows us to do R&D that our OEM partners will never do because they don't have the P&L for it. We can create a brand new category, and then just like we're seeing with the 2-in-1, Dell, HP, Acer, Asus, Sony, they'll follow. And they'll say, wow, Microsoft proved that there's 2-in-1 category. I'm going to build a great device that's cheaper at volume. And all of a sudden, the Windows ecosystem grows. So that's what makes us very different than Apple, is we're building a huge ecosystem for our hardware partners. We'll get a little of that premium brand love because we're going to build premium devices. It's the only way we can make money on those devices. But we're going to let our ecosystem partners build out the volume. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Great.
Thank you, and I wish we had more time. I think you've made your own fans here today.
Great.
And I think you're going to leave them wanting more. With that,
well,
turn it back over.
The wanting more part, just a quick thing.
Please.
My email is chriscap@microsoft.com. So my first name, Chris, C-H-R-I-S. And then the first 3 letters of my last name just slammed together, chriscap@microsoft.com. There were a bunch of hands up. Just send, if you still do email, send me an email, and I'd be happy to sort of engage and answer your questions that I didn't get to over email.
It was frightening. We did a survey of some students, and they said on average they check email once a week.
Yeah.
So it changes how you have to contact students. Right?
Totally.
With that, let me hand it back over to Ignacio to get ceremony.
Great. Well, Chris, thank you so much for all of your insights and especially the presentation that you gave at the beginning. As part of tradition here at the VIP Distinguished Speaker Series, we'd like to present you with your very own Stetson cowboy hat.
Sweet! Nice! I love it. Thank you so much. Fantastic. How am I going to get this back home? I have no idea. I can wear it, exactly. Not on the box. I do this. I get the box too. Thank you. Thank you very much.